the agency built to warn America about digital catastrophe leaves a set of powerful cloud keys in the open. Not on a dark web forum, not inside a stolen laptop. In a public GitHub repository, visible to anyone who knows where to look. The keys point toward AWS GovCloud, the walled-off cloud used for sensitive government work. And for an unknown window of time, the door is simply there. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is not just another federal office. It is the government alarm system for ransomware crews, election threats, pipeline attacks, hospital outages, and the slow-grinding sabotage that can hide inside modern infrastructure. When companies are breached, CISA publishes guidance. When agencies are exposed, CISA coordinates response. It tells others to rotate secrets, lock repositories, restrict access, and assume that anything public has already been copied. That is why this story lands differently. The leak does not begin with an exotic zero-day or a nation-state spear-phishing campaign. It begins with software development, a contractor, and a repository that should never have been public. Inside that archive, experts say, are credentials and internal instructions for building, testing, and deploying government systems securely. The repository reportedly belongs to a contractor working around CISA software operations. On the surface, it looks like the ordinary machinery of modern DevOps. Configuration files, deployment notes, automation scripts, the boring glue that keeps applications moving from a developer laptop to a test environment, then into production. Boring is where disasters often hide. Secrets are supposed to live in vaults, protected by permissions, logging, and rotation. They are not supposed to be copied into code, committed with scripts, then pushed to a public platform built for sharing. GitHub is a miracle of collaboration, and a nightmare when private assumptions meet public defaults. One mistaken push can become a permanent broadcast. Search engines index it, bots scan it, criminals monitor it. Nation-state operators do not need Hollywood hacking when developers hand them the map. According to the reporting, the public files expose credentials to several highly privileged AWS GovCloud accounts and many internal CISA systems. GovCloud is not marketing glitter. It exists for workloads with regulatory and government sensitivity. Access there can mean infrastructure, logs, deployment pipelines, artifacts, and administrative control. In the wrong hands, a key is not a password. It is an identity. It can open consoles. It can create users. It can hide persistence. It can turn a watchdog into a launchpad for someone else. Then comes the worst part. Nobody outside the investigation can confidently say who saw it first. The repository is removed, but public exposure is not a spilled drink you wipe from a desk. It is more like smoke in a ventilation system. You can close the vent. You cannot know every room it touched. Security researchers have long known that automated scanners patrol GitHub for exposed keys within minutes. Some are run by defenders, some are run by cloud providers, some are run by people who sell access before the victim even wakes up. If a valid key appears, a bot can test it, identify privileges, and begin quiet enumeration almost instantly. What accounts exist? What buckets can be read? What roles can be assumed? What systems trust this credential? Now imagine the checklist applied to the agency tasked with helping defend critical infrastructure. The defenders become the risk. The emergency hotline is leaking phone numbers. The fire marshal leaves gasoline by the exit. This is why experts call the archive egregious. It is not only the secrets, it is the surrounding documentation. Build steps, test procedures, deployment patterns, internal system names. Every detail reduces uncertainty for an attacker. Every note becomes reconnaissance written by the victim. And every minute online stretches the blast radius into the dark, unseen networks. Picture the chain of failure. A contractor has enough access to handle sensitive operational code. A repository containing material is public. Secrets are present in files. Review gates fail. Secret scanning misses the exposure, is not enforced, or arrives too late. Oversight depends on trust, but trust is not a control. In secure engineering, every step is supposed to assume the previous step might fail. Developers make mistakes, so pre-commit hooks catch secrets. Hooks fail, so repository scanners alert. Alerts fail, so cloud providers detect unusual use. Detection fails, so keys expire quickly and privileges are narrow. But here, the allegation is highly privileged credentials. That phrase matters. Highly privileged means a single secret may not view a dashboard. It may change resources. It may move laterally. It may read sensitive configuration, alter deployments, or mint new paths of access. Even if no outsider abused the keys, the incident forces a brutal audit. Which keys were valid? Which accounts were touched? Which logs are complete? Which actions are normal? Which events look normal only because the attacker understood the environment? That is the nightmare of leaked infrastructure credentials. The breach may not announce itself. It may behave like administration. The public repository is gone now, but deletion is not containment. Containment is rotation, revocation, forensic review, and uncomfortable accountability. CISA will need to know whether the GovCloud credentials were active, what privileges they carried, whether they were used, and whether any copied archive still circulates outside official control. The contractor relationship also comes under the microscope. Agencies outsource speed, expertise, and capacity, but they cannot outsource consequences. A vendor mistake becomes a federal exposure. A loose repository becomes a national trust problem. For CISA, the embarrassment is especially sharp because its mission depends on credibility. Every advisory about basic hygiene now echoes back at the agency itself. Do not hard-code secrets, do not expose repos, assume compromise, rotate keys, verify everything, and prove the lesson was learned publicly. The horror is not that one agency made one mistake. The horror is that the mistake is ordinary. Public code, rushed delivery, privileged keys, blurred contractor boundaries, and the quiet belief that someone else checked. Critical infrastructure is defended by people, pipelines, and permissions. When any of them drift, the strongest agency can become its own breach report. Somewhere, someone may have seen the keys first. We may never know.